The snow was turning red, and the silence between gunshots felt louder than the war itself. We were surrounded, completely cut off, 120 German soldiers closing in from every direction. No reinforcements, no escape, just the sound of boots crunching closer, and the cold realization that this was where we were supposed to die. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the weight of what I knew I had to do next. I tightened my grip on my old Coyote hunter's rifle and made a decision that would change everything. Before we begin, hit like, share this story, and subscribe for more real war stories. My name is James Walker. I'm 96 years old now, but back then I was just a young man standing in the middle of hell, trying to survive a day I was never meant to walk away from. The air was freezing, but my body burned like it was on fire. Every breath I took felt sharp, like needles cutting into my lungs. We had been moving for hours, no sleep, barely any food, and now, completely surrounded, I could hear them. German voices, low and controlled, spreading out, tightening the circle around us like hunters closing in on wounded prey. There were only a handful of us left, tired, injured, scared, but no one said it out loud. Because the moment you admit fear in a situation like that, it owns you. I checked my rifle again. It wasn't made for war. It was a Coyote hunter's rifle, something I had used back home, chasing shadows in the desert, not soldiers in the snow. But it was all I had. And in that moment, it didn't matter what kind of weapon it was. It just mattered that it worked. One of the boys next to me, couldn't have been older than 19, kept whispering, "They're getting closer. They're getting closer," over and over again. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold his weapon. I grabbed his shoulder, looked him straight in the eyes and said, "Listen to me. You don't fire until you see them, you hear me? Not shadows, not sounds. You wait." He nodded, but I could tell he was already halfway gone. Then it happened. A single shot rang out from the trees. Not ours. The kid next to me panicked and fired blindly into the darkness. That was all it took. Within seconds, the silence shattered. Gunfire erupted from every direction. Bullets tore through the trees, snapping branches, kicking up snow, ripping through anything in their path. We dropped low, no formation, no plan, just survival. I crawled behind a fallen log, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. I forced myself to slow down, breathe, think. Panic gets you killed faster than bullets ever will. I peeked over the log, and that's when I saw them. Shadows moving between the trees. Slow, careful, confident. They knew we were trapped. I lined up my first shot. My hands were steady now. Not because I wasn't afraid, but because fear had turned into something else. Focus, cold, sharp focus. I squeezed the trigger. The recoil hit my shoulder, and one of the shadows dropped instantly. That was the moment everything changed. Not for them, for me, because I realized something in that instant. If I was going to die out there, I wasn't going quietly. I wasn't going to be hunted down like an animal. I shifted position, staying low, moving between cover. Every shot had to count. I couldn't afford panic, I couldn't afford mistakes. Each time I fired, I made sure I had a clear target. Each time I moved, I made sure I wasn't predictable. Minutes felt like hours. Hours felt like a lifetime. The gunfire never really stopped. It just came in waves, sometimes close, sometimes distant, but always there, always reminding us that we were still surrounded. At one point, everything went quiet again. Too quiet. That kind of silence, it's worse than the shooting, because it means they're planning something. I could hear my own breathing, slow, controlled. My fingers were numb, but I tightened my grip on the rifle anyway. Somewhere to my left, someone let out a quiet groan, injured, trying to stay alive. And then, footsteps, closer this time, crunching through the snow just beyond the trees. I lowered myself completely, barely daring to move. My eyes scanned the darkness, searching for any sign of movement. And then I saw him. A German soldier, no more than 20 yards away, moving carefully with his rifle raised. He didn't know exactly where I was, but he knew I was there. For a second, we just existed in the same space. Two men, same fear, same cold, same desperate need to survive. I could have hesitated, but hesitation gets you killed. I pulled the trigger. He dropped. And just like that, the silence shattered again. More shouting, more gunfire, more chaos. But something was different now. They weren't advancing as confidently as before. They were slowing down, because they realized something too. We weren't done yet. I kept moving, kept firing when I had to, kept thinking one step ahead, even when my body begged me to stop. I wasn't counting how many I hit. I wasn't thinking about numbers. I was thinking about one thing only: stay alive. At some point, the fear changed again. It wasn't panic anymore. It was determination. Because every minute we held out, every shot that landed, every second we refused to give up, was another chance, another breath, another step closer to seeing tomorrow, and in a place where death was everywhere, hope became the most dangerous weapon of all. When the last echo of gunfire faded, the forest was still. Smoke and snow hung heavy in the air, and the bodies of those we had fought against, and some of our own, lay scattered like broken memories. I sank to my knees, my hands trembling, not from the cold, but from the weight of what we had survived. I thought of all the friends who wouldn't see another sunrise, and a hollow ache settled in my chest. I had survived, yes, but the cost was a lifetime of memories I could never forget. Every face, every shout, every bullet would follow me to the end of my days, and yet amid the grief and the pain, there was a strange, stubborn hope. I had faced impossible odds, stared death in the eyes, and somehow I had lived. That survival wasn't just for me. It was for every young man who had fallen beside me, for every family waiting back home, for the chance to tell the truth of what happened in that cold, merciless forest. Now, decades later, I share it, so that courage, fear, and hope, all tangled together, aren't forgotten. I am James Walker, 96 years old, and though my body has aged, the memory of that day burns as vividly as ever. If this story gave you even a glimpse of what it was like to stand on the edge of death, then you know why sharing it matters. These moments, these memories, are more than just history. They are the voices of those who faced impossible odds and survived to tell the truth. By liking this video, you're not just showing support. You're helping keep their stories alive, ensuring that courage, sacrifice, and hope are never forgotten. If you know someone who would feel the weight of this story, someone who understands the price of survival, then share this video with them. Let them step into the snow, into that forest, and feel the tension, the fear, and the hope that kept a young man alive against all odds. Every share is another heartbeat for history, another reminder that these stories deserve to be remembered. And if you want to continue walking these paths, to hear more stories that are raw, truthful, and gripping, then subscribe to this channel. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you never miss a story that takes you deep into history, moments where real people faced the impossible, made impossible choices, and survived to tell the tale. Your support is what keeps these stories alive. And together we can make sure courage, hope, and truth are never forgotten. Every like, every share, and every subscription is more than just a click. It's a commitment to honor the past, to witness bravery, and to remember the human spirit in the face of unimaginable odds. So if this story moved you, if it made your heart race and your breath catch, show it, like it, share it, subscribe, and be part of keeping history alive, one story at a time.